Yo, what's up, everybody? I posted this on social media not too long ago, and I got a bunch of questions on how I did it. So, a little bit different to what I'm used to doing, but today I hope that I can teach you how to achieve that same effect. Just a couple things before we begin. I am not an expert at doing this, so I'll do my best to teach you something that I have done and have been asked a couple questions on before. There's definitely other ways to do this. There's probably better ways to do this. This is just a quick and effective way of doing something very simple and very cool. So let's get into the video and let's figure out how you actually do this. All we're going to need are 2 pieces of media and Davinci Resolve 17. This will also work on other versions of Davinci Resolve, but the latest version of Davinci Resolve is Davinci Resolve 17. It's a public beta, so technically anyone can use it. You can go and download it. I would encourage you to go and download it. It's a very powerful piece of software that you can use to improve any of the videos that you're working on. So go ahead, download it. It's free. I've left a link down in the video description and you can go out and pick that up. Now, when we jump into Davinci Resolve, what you're going to want to do is open up a new project. So I've already made a new project, but once you open up DaVinci, it'll ask you to create a new project. You do that with this button over here. It'll ask you for a number of things like frame rate, the size of the video, etc. For the purpose of this, it's not really relevant. Pick whatever you're shooting with, but ideally all the images, all the videos that you use will have the same frame rates. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world. You know, for the purposes of me and you, we aren't creating, you know, cinema type work, and what we want to have here is just something that kind of looks surreal. So it doesn't really matter what your frame rates are. So I've already created a project, and in the project you can see I have all my media, and the media is kept in this media tab at the bottom. So I have 2 pieces of media that we're going to use today. So one of them is the picture of a coffee mug on a table from above, and then we have a drone shot of a yacht bobbing around in the water from above. Now, the reason that I dwell on that from above is that you want to make sure that the orientation or the view of both of those items is the same, because if they aren't the same, then you won't sell the effect of the yacht being inside the coffee mug or the waves coming from inside the swimming pool, etc. You get the point. You want to make sure that the orientation and the view is exactly the same on both of those. So now, first step you want to do is bring those into the edit tab onto your timeline. So if we bring out the coffee mug first, and we'll put the coffee mug on top, and we're going to bring on the drone shot and put that beneath, we'll make them the same length. Now, how this effect works essentially is, let's just quickly rotate, so we'll make sure coffee mug fills the page. On the right hand side here is your inspector, in which you can use that to kind of edit the various pieces of media that you have. So we'll just increase the size of this coffee mug just to make our life a bit easier. So you can drag the sliders like this, or if you click this button down here or this arrow and click select transform, you can move it by hand. I think for the purposes of what we're doing, that will do just fine. Now, how this works is, if you imagine you had 2 pieces of paper on top of each other and you wanted to see what was on the bottom piece of paper here, you would need to cut a hole in the top piece of paper so you could see through to the bottom one. Now, that's how I think this works, and I know it's a little bit more complicated than that, and as I understand it, what happens is you basically select an area on the top video for those pixels to become to change the opacity down to 0, and that'll allow them to be see-through so you can see what's underneath that. Now, this principle and kind of this method you can use in a number of different things, but this is typically called masking. Now, masking is what the term will be used on other editing softwares, but in DaVinci, whilst you can do masking, we'll do this in the color wheel, and we'll be using power windows. So now that we've got our top image in place and we have our bottom image, now, as I said before, we're going to cut a hole in the top one so that you can see the bottom one. And I know it's not cutting a hole, you're not cutting anything, you're basically telling which pixels to have an opacity of 0 at any given time, so you can see directly to the image and all video beneath. So now let's just remember that the top one is a still image, and the bottom one is a moving video. Great, so let's pull ourselves over to the color page. Now, the color page is kind of an overwhelming place when you first get here. I'm by no means an expert, but we're going to concentrate just on the tools that we need right now. So we're going to come over here to this, it's called the power window or the window section, and we're going to select a circle. Now immediately what this will do is drop a power window onto your image, onto your video. And for us to understand what it's showing us, what I like to do is go Shift H, and basically what that's going to do is it's going to show you the areas of this particular video that it's changing to 0% opacity. Now that's my understanding of how it works. I know it's probably a little bit more complicated than that, but this is how I understand it. Now, so what this is basically telling us is that everywhere that is gray is going to be see-through, in which we'll see the bottom image, and everywhere that is our image is what we'll see with our image. Now, in order for us to kind of see what's beneath, we need to add something called a alpha channel. Now, alpha channels are the kind of the smart way of saying parts of the image that are going to be see-through, like for example, like a PNG has an alpha channel to it, which any video software or photographic software knows not to render those pixels and just keeps them see-through. So we're going to right click over here and we're going to click add alpha output, and now the alpha output is this blue part of the node over here. So we're going to link up that blue box with that blue dot over there. Nothing will happen right now because we've done Shift H. If we go Shift H again, now you'll see what I meant by the gray parts are see-through. So if I go Shift H and change that, now you can see which parts are see-through. So now obviously what you can see here is that this is the wrong way around. So we'll come down over here and change it, invert it to the other way. Great. I'm going to keep it as a Shift H for now. Now what we need to do is size this correctly to our cup. So use the sizing like this, and then the outer one, so what you can see here is there's a number of lines, and we can adjust those on the outside, and basically that's just the feather to your window. So the feather is kind of either you can have a hard edge, so a perfectly hard edge, and that won't really give you a nice effect, or you can add a slight feather to it, in which case your thing will slowly blur out, and that'll kind of sell the effect a bit better. Cool, so we won't dwell on this for too long, but if we move this around, we can kind of get to a position where it looks a bit realistic. And if we just start too far in, find the center, pull ourselves a little bit out. Cool, like that, and turn that off. Now that's not bad, but what you can see is that the boat is touching the edge, and now that's obviously not going to work for us. So if we go back to the edit window, we select our boat video, and then up in the right hand side in the inspector we can change the various items. So if we change the zoom, we can bring it to a point where it kind of looks real, and we just got to make sure that the edges of the video don't start showing. Now to me that looks great. We'll just make sure that through the lifetime or the length of this whole clip that we don't have any issues here, but drones are very good at keeping steady, so that looks pretty good to me. Great. So what this doesn't have is sound. Now sound really does sell a video like this. So what we're going to do now is add a little bit of sound. So first things first, when you're at the beach, one of the first things you'll hear is the sound of the waves. So now I've got two separate items here. I've got one ocean water sound, which will pull in beneath this, and then I've got another one which is waves against a boat. So when I'm looking at an image like this or a video like this, I'm automatically thinking, what is it going to sound like when I'm there? And this is a great way for you to improve any of the videos that you make, is sound design. So two simple things for this one is I want to hear the ocean, and I'd like to hear the ocean hitting up against the boat, and that'll really sell this. So without blowing your eardrums, let's have a listen to what this sounds like. Great, so that's it. You've taken two clips and made it into something that looks a little bit surreal. We'll certainly get some attention on your social media. If you like what you see here, if you've learned anything at all, I would really appreciate your feedback down in the comments below. Please leave a thumbs up, and if you would like to, consider subscribing. My name is Michael, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here sometime soon. See you later.